The new Soundpeats Mini Pro is a winning formula. It's got a compact design, almost perfect controls, good ANC transparency, QCC 3040. It's everything one could ever want, and it sells for only 60 bucks. Just wait a second. Did something like this exist before? Well, you are not wrong if the Feel T series comes to mind. They basically have the same selling points, but they're even more fully featured, and actually they sound better for about the same price. So question of the day then, is the Mini Pro really that impressive? In today's video, we're going to pair it all from sound, build, down to the mic and latency test, and at the end of the video, you'll know if the Mini Pro is the right pick for you. So buckle up and let's get started right now. Selamat pagi! Good morning everyone, Kenneth here and welcome to my review of the Soundpeats Mini Pro. As always, full disclosure is down in the description below, but basically it reads, I'm always giving you my own honest opinion. Also, if you feel like supporting the channel, please use the affiliate links down below when buying stuff. It really helps me out with no extra cost to you. And with that said, let's get started with one of the most important aspects, the sound quality. First things first, the sound you get here is a V-shaped tuning, not as extreme as the Soundpeats Sonic, but I say it's similar to the Soundpeats T2. It has a balanced character with boosted bass and treble, but unlike the T2, the mids are not as recessed. So things like vocals are not so far behind, but they're not exactly front and center as well. The problem is, this sound is still far from being the best sounding Soundpeats. Mainly, the soundstage is still pretty cramped in the center, with vocals overlapping with the instruments. This means even Soundpeats' own True Engine 3 SE is still better, bringing much better separation and wider sound staging, although it sounds more on the warm side with its rolled off treble. But here's the thing, this relatively small soundstage sticks out when we bring its main competitor, the Feel T series, to the table. Honestly, I just much prefer the Feel over the Mini Pro here. I'll be mainly comparing this to the Feel T2 Pro today, but I just wanted to let you know that I actually prefer the Feel T1 Pro sound better than the Feel T2 Pro. But that's another topic for another video. Comment down below if you want to see it. Wait a second. I'm back. Let's take Hotel California by Eagles, for example. Here I do enjoy the sound of the Mini Pro. It gives ample focus to the bass lines as well as the hi-hats and guitars. But just like I said, the vocals are only decently prominent, not very forward and in your face. And while the Feel T2 Pro has this exact same character, everything just suddenly feels much more well spaced out. You can tell better from where the instruments are coming from, the guitars, the hi-hats, the snare hits, it's separated from the vocals in the front, whereas on the Mini Pro, you just kind of feel like they come together in the center of your head. It's quite the difference, I'm telling you. Personally, I really wanted to tell you that it's like the old days. Soundpeats 3 SE versus the Feel T1 Pro, both are equally good. Just if you like warm bassy sound, then go for Soundpeats. If you like clear treble, then go for the Feel. But sadly, that's not the case anymore. They both have the same balanced boosted bass character, but the Feel just has better soundstage and separation, which makes me always pick the Feel T2 Pro over Mini Pro. And let's not forget that the Feel comes with an app support that lets you customize the sound among other things even further. So the choice gets even more obvious here. But to be frank, that exact app has their own set of problems in both iOS and Android, and there's no sign of them releasing the global version of the T series, so its merit is somewhat questionable. Now, I've confirmed with Soundpeats that they are indeed developing app support for the Mini Pro, and it will include the ability to customize the EQ, so hopefully the situation will somewhat improve once that goes live. Okay, if you appreciated the video so far, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. You might find the perfect earbuds for your budget here. And with that said, let's move on to the next important aspect, the build quality. First things first, I just wanted to give props to Soundpeats for upping their design game here. It's a very nice unboxing experience and straightforward too. You get your earbuds, cable, ear tips, and paperworks beautifully packaged. But let's talk about the case now. Compared to the non-Pro variant, this Mini Pro actually got a bit bigger on all sides to accommodate for the bigger battery. Fortunately, it's still small enough to live up to its name because it takes just as much height as the Feel T2 Pro laid on its side. These are just some of the smallest and the most pocket-friendly ANC earbuds around period. Speaking of material wise, this is built very well. The soft touch matte black plastics are nice. There's a very subtle branding at the front here, along with LED that lights up green or yellow or red according to the remaining charge. I have no more charge here. And at the back, there's also a blue little accent on the USB port, which is cool. And overall, it's just as well built as the Feel T2 Pro here, although it lacks wireless charging for about the same price. Talking about the lid, it has a very good resistance, although everything is made from plastics here. It can hold itself open even when you put it on a table. With that said, opening and closing the lid is always an easy task. Now, let's get to the earbuds. These are IPX5 water resistant, they're well built with a mix of both glossy and matte plastics, and compared to the subtle Soundpeats logo on the Mini, the paint here is a much more bold silver color. I personally like it though, and the drivers are protected with metal mesh, which is awesome. Unfortunately now, like any other Soundpeats earbuds, the LEDs light up when no media is playing. And it could be distracting if you're using them in the middle of the night when you're watching a TV series or YouTube videos. Those brief pauses when switching one video to another will basically light up your room briefly. And unlike the Soundpeats Sonic Pro, there's no way to turn it off. But I can say, as far as the fit goes, they are good. The rounded inner shape, the included ear tips, and the depth of the inner shaft all provide a good seal for my ear. Never once I felt the need to readjust them, and the triangle outer shape plays a part here because the backside rests on the outer ear, providing additional support. Do note that after a couple hours, I sometimes found this to introduce some discomfort, but your miles may vary because everyone just have different kind of ear shape. Finally, these are flush when worn, so those who wear head coverings shouldn't worry about. Now moving on to the controls. As you can see right here, why I said the controls are almost perfect is because there is no previous song, which is just like the Soundpeats T2 honestly. The whole gesture on the left is used to change ANC modes now, and I personally don't mind it. I never kind of used it, but maybe some of you do, and let's just hope that we could also customize the controls on the upcoming app that's still in progress. Now, while Soundpeats control scheme is always my first preference, I have a small complaint on the touch sensitivity here. It always feels like it's not sensitive enough. A lot of the times I just wanted to play music with double tap, but the earbuds only registered one tap, which then increased the volume instead. Or it can also work the other way around. When I meet someone, I want to pause the music, I double tap, but I ended up increasing the volume yet again. I found that tapping with my whole finger, then trying to target the top left corner where there's no Soundpeats logo increased the accuracy somewhat, but it's something that I shouldn't worry about in the first place, as I don't have the same problem with the Soundpeats Mini or any Soundpeats products in that regard. Actually, they've all been great, and this problem definitely don't exist on the feel side of things. But yeah, let's finally talk about the noise cancellation now. And the most important thing you have to know here is neither Soundpeats nor Phil can be used with transparency when you only use one earbud. And that's a shame, because cheaper earbuds from Xiaomi or Realme can do it nowadays, and they are very nice. If you need to make a phone call, for example, you can still be aware of and interact with the things around you. One thing that is good here though is that they remember your last use setting. So put it in with transparency. The next time you take it out, it'll be in transparency. For this exact reason, it is much easier for me to recommend the Mini Pro instead of the Soundpeats T2, despite being not as strong on both ANC and transparency. So let's talk about it. ANC wise, it is a clean noise reduction without any uncomfortable pressure or any EQ change and hissing. It just blocks the low rumble from fans, AC units, or simply the low hums in your surroundings very well. But that's a given for any ANC earbuds nowadays. The difference lies within the mid frequencies, which is the background music in a cafe or the sound of people talking around you. Stuff like that, the Mini Pro doesn't block as much as the Soundpeats T2. And never mind the Feel T2 Pro here, because they are just much better in this regard. Transparency is also the same story, but this time it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So if you remember, the Soundpeats T2 lets in more of what's around you, but it does so by cranking the gain so high that if you accidentally swipe over the microphone here, you would hear a very loud, annoying sound. On the Mini Pro, they brought it back down so the pass-through sound isn't as loud, but in turn, when you touch the microphone down here, it won't be as annoying anymore. Moreover, there's no added hissing, the sound is natural, and honestly I would say it's better than the Redmi Buds 3 Pro, but it's still not loud enough to have a prolonged conversation with someone you meet on the street. On the other side, the Feel T2 Pro is not any better as well, but I'll talk about it in its full review. Okay, let's quickly talk about battery life, and for the super small footprint here, the company claims 7 hours of playtime, which feels almost unreal. I'm happy to say that this is true though, but only if you don't use ANC or aptX adaptive, all of which cuts the total time considerably. In my testing, using ANC on an iPhone playing at 50% volume, which is enough for indoors, results in 5.5 hours of playtime, while with the exact same settings, but now with aptX adaptive, drops it to just shy of 4 hours. Now, this is a big reason why I usually suggest people to stick with SBC or AAC unless they really can't perceive any difference or they just use higher res source materials. For me, I can't really tell the difference, that's just my ear, and I definitely value the extra battery life much more. But with all that said, I'm still very impressed with the battery, especially when you consider the small size. It won't be an annoyance in day-to-day use. Talking about the battery backup on the case now, while these only has a small 300 mAh battery, it still gives a nice up to 1 week of total usage time. Perhaps you will charge it before the weekends. But again, that depends on your use case. Basically, you can expect about 2 more full charges for the earbuds. And if we compare this to the Feel T2 Pro, this tiny case has 400-ish mAh battery and can give a slightly better 3 full charges. I don't even know how they did it, but yeah. Finally, touching on connectivity, I never had any sudden disconnections or random stuttering. Pairing with all the devices, including my Mac, has been flawless. And that's the case with most earbuds with QCC340. It has always proven themselves to have strong connectivity as long as you stay within its range, which is about 10 meters unobstructed or with one thick brick wall away. It's also worth noting that these also have game mode, which is nice for iOS devices, but it doesn't really do anything on Android, at least on my Poco X3 Pro. Otherwise, let's check out the latency test and also the mic test right after. And if you notice, these lack the AI algorithm supported by the Mini, so let's check it out.
With the new Galaxy S22 series set to be released in a couple of days, you do not want to make a mistake when you are pre-ordering. In fact, you don't want to make a mistake at all. And here are a couple of things to put into consideration before you get your new Galaxy device.
Alright, welcome to the microphone test everyone. Right now we are on the Soundpeats Mini Pro, and what do you think of the sound quality? This is an indoor setting where nothing is going on, so this is the best case scenario. And I also wanted to add some more information. Is the noise cancellation ANC or transparency does not work when you are on a phone call, which is a shame really. But otherwise, let's do a simple crowd noise simulation. So this is playing at 50% volume, pretty loud, but yeah, can you still hear me clearly through these background noise? Okay, let's go outside now and we'll see how it handles real street noise. All right, here we are outside with the Soundpeats Mini Pro, and what do you think of the sound quality? At the moment, there's you can see the street noise coming from right beside me. That is quite loud and very, very close to these cars and motorcycles. But there's some wind blowing on this side, so we're going to face that way and we'll see if the video is excellent anyway. So there you go. One. You still hear my voice? Okay, that's pretty much it for the wind test. Now let's compare this to the benchmark wind test we are about to go. Okay, here we are right now with the AirPods Pro. And what do you think of the sound quality? Do I sound clear or not? And at the moment, you can see wind is still blowing and it's actually quite strong. So we'll see if this handles the wind. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, test 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Can you still hear my voice? Okay, so that's pretty much it for the microphone test. Let's go back upstairs and go finish the video. So my answer to the question in the title, I don't think the Mini Pro is otherworldly impressive, but it is a damn good earbuds with a lot of things done right. It sounds fun with its slightly bass boosted balance tuning, it's super small yet still packed to the brim with features, and it comes in at only 60 bucks or even lower if you can get it on discount. Yes, it doesn't have the better sound and wireless charging offered by the Field T2 Pro, but you also don't have to deal with importing a Chinese product, which means dealing with a lot of Mandarin and practically non-existent warranty support. So what do you think of the Soundpeats Mini Pro? Did the company knock it out of the park with this one? Let me know down in the comment section below or hit me up on my Instagram and Twitter if you have any more questions. Don't forget to use the affiliate links because it really helps me do what I do. But that's about it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I gotta take care of Ethan now. Yes, Ethan, yes. Yeah. Milk is coming, milk is coming. Milk is coming, come on!